the weather report feature. Now I want to show you guys how to use the actual weather map overlay system so we can, I guess a little bit more further prove to the adjusters that weather is touching down on that property address. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and focus on the state of Texas because that's where I'm a little bit more familiar with. On the far right-hand side of your guys' screen, you'll see that little storm cloud icon. Clicking here will bring up your guys' weather map overlay system, where you'll see that nothing is being displayed on the map because I have no maps selected in the bottom left-hand corner. But if I want to be able to view a specific weather map overlay, just simply click where it says no maps and then select what you guys want to view, whether it's hurricane information, wind gusts, again, hail probability or hail size. I personally prefer to go off of hail size because it's a little bit more accurate on what actually happened on the property. So I'm going to go ahead, click on hail size. And you guys will see that it automatically loads in today's date, and it said that there was no hail, I guess, size data available because no hail today has been reported to touch down anywhere. Now, keep in mind that we'll always use today's date as the first frame of reference. Now, let's just say for this example that that weather report that I pulled told me that back in February of 2019, there was, or let's just say back in March of 2019, there was a really big hailstorm that touched down right outside of Dallas. And now that I have that weather date, I want to be able to view that information. So what you guys want to do is simply click on that date range at the very bottom, choose the date range that you guys want to view that weather swath for. So like I mentioned, that was going to be back in 2019. And that'll be back in March on the 24th day, which was a Sunday. Now, when I click on that, it'll load in that weather information. And you guys will see that right outside of Dallas, there was a massive hailstorm. So if I go ahead and zoom in, you can then see right outside of Frisco, Allen, and Fairview, there was a really bad hailstorm that touched down in this area on that date. Now, that little bar down here at the very, very bottom allows you guys to scroll for the hail size that you're looking at, because again, that's what I selected here on the left-hand side. So if I want to see something, or I guess hone in on my search and maybe talk to people that were only hit by hail balls that were 2 inches or larger, use that scroll bar until you guys get the 2 inches. And now you'll see that it kind of hones in that search for me, so I can then see that all of these homes right outside of this area were affected. Now, what I want to focus on in particular is going to be that little red area. So if I adjust the scroll bar, that's about 3.5-inch hail ball sizes. So that's about the size of a softball hitting people's roofs in this area. This will most likely be a great place to go and actively canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, see all these different homes. And if you guys want or need to pair this information with Data Grid, so like I mentioned, now that I know what homes have been hit, I now want to approach them and I want to see their homeowner information. On the far left-hand side of the screen, click that little finger swishy icon here. Kind of looks like a finger with no arms. Then it can simply trace out small sections of the area that is affected from the storm. Now I can go ahead and simply click anywhere inside of that empty territory, click the edit button, and then choose to assign myself to this area. And I'll click save. And then you guys will see that it now populates that Data Grid information here for me. So now I can see the homeowner and the home information just like I did before. Now I actually know that this area in Texas is an extremely, I guess, hot area for roofing in particular, because after the storm event, most people did not get a new roof. And I know that because I worked it myself for a couple of years. And it was a very hot area. A lot of people hit by a large hail ball that did nothing, and now the roofs are screwed for it. So that's when I swooped in and made a lot of money. It was awesome. But again, use it to your advantage. If you guys want to populate that Data Grid information one more time, just simply draw the territory out with your finger using that icon on the far left-hand side. Simply draw the small section that you guys want, and then just assign that territory to yourself. Click save, and then it will start to populate those pins for you. So again, super simple. I'm going to go ahead and delete these areas just so I'm not messing with what you guys got going on inside your account. But that's just one of the other ways that you guys can use weather. My personal favorite way is using it for the Storm Finder feature. So if you guys want to look up a storm date that could have occurred in the past, let's just say calendar year, so you guys can make an insurance claim on it. Let's go ahead and actually, Eugene, I'm going to have you shout at me a zip code that you work out of often. Or we can just have somebody shout a zip code out.
Oh yeah, let's do this one. The zip code that we should do is right here. 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
Let's go ahead and do 32097.
Perfect. So that's going to be Yuli. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use Yuli for this example. But let's just say that I want to try and find storms that occurred in this area that I'm not aware of. I'm going to click on that little weather icon on the far right-hand side one more time. And then from the pop-up down below, I'm going to click in the bottom right-hand corner that little magnifying glass. This is your guys' storm finder feature. Clicking on this will then give you a brand new weather map overlay where you guys will see there's that big old blue ring up here at the very, very top. Because right now, what we're doing is searching a specific radius around Yuli of storms that I want to find. So at the top of the storm finder, there's a little filters bar here. If I click that little filters drop down, I can then adjust this to my liking to search for a specific date range. So if, like I mentioned, if I want to see storms that maybe occurred in the last full calendar year from today all the way into last year, I'm going to click on that little first date range. Go ahead and I accidentally clicked on the wrong button, so it took me to the second, I guess, a different part of the app. Let's go ahead and try this one more time. There we go. So we'll click on that date range here, and then I'll change it to 2022. And then obviously we are in October. Today is the 9th. So we'll do October 9th, 2022, all the way to October 9th, 2023. Now that we have the date range selected, you guys can adjust your filters to your liking. So do you want to look at storms that were 40 miles out, 50 miles out from Yuli? I personally prefer to keep it around 30 because I don't like to drive too far, but we'll keep it around 30 miles. And then I'm going to say, you know what? I don't really care about hail probability, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that toggle off. But I do care about storms that are maybe, you know, an inch and a quarter worth of a hail ball or larger. And then I do want to look at high winds. I want to see winds that maybe reached about 65 miles an hour or more. Now, once I have adjusted the filters to my liking, you can simply exit the filter section by clicking that arrow in the top right that points up, and then it will retrieve that storm information and then show you the days that everything occurred on. So you guys can see as early as August 30th of this year, you guys had wind speeds in your area that reached about 70 miles an hour. So some people probably lost shingles around that time of day. You can even see that on August 16th of this year, there was a hailstorm that touched down in your guys' area. Now, if you want to view that swath date so you can see what places might have been affected, just simply click on the date range on the far right-hand side, and it will show you what places were affected and where it touched down. So you guys can see, if I go ahead and zoom in, there's Yuli, but a little bit more north towards St. Mary's here. We can then see that these homes were all hit by what we are searching for, which is about hail that was a little bit under an inch. Now, again, some of the areas were hit by something a little bit larger, maybe towards over this section. So 1.5, or I guess 1.25, 1.5 here. I can now go ahead and zoom in. And then these places were hit by hail that was about 1.5 inches large. So again, it just kind of lets you guys, or I guess better your chances of finding storms that occurred in your guys' area. That way you can be the first to go and actively canvass that section in case there's a couple of different roofing companies around you guys. Obviously, you want to be the first person. So make sure that you guys are searching for storms constantly so you can be the first out there. Now, that's how you guys can use the weather feature. I know it's kind of a lot of information to take in all at once. I am recording this call, and I will send you guys the recording of it just in case you need it. But 3 different ways to use weather. You can generate weather reports for property addresses. You can locate storm events yourself if you happen to know of a date already, or you can use the storm finder feature and then have it tell you what days a storm actually occurred on. Any questions there before I move on to the next thing? Okay. One thing
and,
I do
Russ,
yeah.
I got a question. So I notice you like to, when you use the feature, you like to go off of the hail size. I'm curious why. Why not go off of hail probability? Because what if there's no, because right now I'm working a storm, and it's all the way back on May 17th. And it doesn't necessarily tell you the hail size, but the hail is pretty significant, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my question to you.
Sure. So I worked in the roofing industry for about 3 or 4 years, and the only reason that I prefer to use hail size than probability is because at least here in Utah, where I'm located, a lot of the insurance claim providers and adjusters did not accept probability, period. They only accepted actual hail size that showed them something touchdown that was this size. So that's the only reason that I prefer to use that. But again, depending on your guys' state, you may have a little bit more luck. We just here in Utah didn't. They did not accept probability.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay. I wonder what it's like because I'm not sure. I've been in the roofing industry for 6 months, so I'm not sure exactly how it works here in the whatchamacallit, in Florida.
And yeah, in your guys' area, you may find that some people prefer to use probabilities. Some companies don't like to use hail size at all because they're like, well, that's big, but we can't really tell that it touched down at least. And so you can use like the swath overlays to kind of show them like, yeah, it did touch down. But again, it just kind of depends on your guys' area and the adjusters that you have, or I guess the insurance claim providers, because some of them can be a little bit less convinced than others when it comes to probability.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's a great question. But let's see what we've gone over. I just want to make